Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a review of the Ninjutso Katana Superlight. You might be saying to yourself, Superlight? Where have I heard that one before? The Logitech G Pro X Superlight. So to clarify, these mice are not the exact same thing. The Katana Superlight, they say, comes in at 60 grams and is the world's lightest in its class. I don't know what its class is. It's not the lightest wireless mouse, but I don't know, close enough, I guess. So yeah, this is a 60 gram large ambi mouse that is inspired, or it might be a direct clone of the IntelliMouse 1.1a. I was not actually playing with the IntelliMouse 1.1a preconception, so I don't have experience with that mouse, but the shape is pretty awkward and bulky for something coming out in 2022. And I'll talk about the shape in more detail and why it's a miss for me later on in the video, but first I want to talk about some things that are impressive about this mouse, and I would say that is the build quality and the weight. So this mouse is coming in at $90, and it is the same weight, if not 1 or 2 grams lighter, as the Superlight, without any holes in the shell. They claim that they've got the sidewalls down to 0.6 millimeters thick, so it does seem like they actually have done a lot of research on how to get a solid feeling shell while maintaining a lightweight, and that is impressive, because it is a smaller company, relatively affordable wireless mouse, and I have no issues with like side flexing, bottom flexing, anything. This mouse feels sound structurally, so it's impressive quality wise for sure. It's just like if they could put this on a normal feeling small to medium ambi mouse, I feel like this would be such a banger. But they do kind of limit the scope of who can enjoy this mouse with the shape. And I'll say for fingertip, it's just an absolute no-go. It violates all of Sir Rocket Jump Ninja's rules. Like it does not have a thin grip width, does not have a low button height, and the buttons just don't have any comfort curves on them really. So it's just not comfortable for fingertip at all. For claw grip, I thought this mouse was going to work for me, and it somewhat does. It just feels so wide at the bottom that I don't really have any room to micro adjust with my fingers. I kind of just, all of my movements have to be with either my arm or my wrist, and it just doesn't have the same nimble feel as something like the Superlight, which is a thinner mouse, and the hump feels locked into the bottom of my palm. This Katana Superlight, it's definitely made for more relaxed grips. The shape feels like your hand is supposed to just naturally rest on it rather than like aggressively claw grip it, because I don't know how easy this is to see, but the hump just doesn't want to sit in the back of my palm. It really just slips around, and I think that this is going to be a pretty common issue for people. If you have small hands, your hand will probably just be engulfed by the back of the mouse, and you're going to have very little freedom. But that might be what some people are looking for. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't just write that off. I guess one way to look at it is the Katana Superlight is a large mouse that's still extremely lightweight at 60 grams. So maybe if you've had stability issues with smaller ultra lightweight mice, this could be a change for you. But for me, I've just found the shape to be pretty bulky. The weight at 60 grams does feel extremely good in hand, and the balancing is good in terms of feeling, but you can notice there's not much going on at the bottom of the mouse. So when you do a weight balancing test, it is slightly like balanced towards the front, but it's nothing that really breaks the feeling in hand. But once again, it's just not as good as the Superlight in that aspect. Now I just want to talk about some similarities it shares in design to the Superlight, just because I find it funny. Like the front of this mouse, the design philosophy is identical. The white scroll wheels, the company logo, the LED indicator at the same place. It's honestly pretty funny, and Superlight in the name. It's shameless, but I respect the hustle. Even the side buttons look nearly identical and still have an issue with pre-travel. And these side buttons do have a more hollow feeling and are not as easy to spam as the Superlight side buttons. So I would say I definitely prefer the Superlight side buttons, although they have a slightly mushier feeling. For spamming them in Fortnite, they just feel more responsive. The placement of the buttons is also pretty high up, but I had no issues hitting them with what was basically my natural grip style on this mouse. But yeah, moving past the side buttons, I guess I'll talk about the main switches. It's using Huano pink dots. Those are the same switches that Vaxi uses, and while these do feel heavier than the clicks on Vaxi mice, I still think it is a pretty good click implementation, all things considered. There's a slight amount of pre-travel on both clicks, but if anything, I think it just gives them a more bouncy and spammable feeling. The clicks are really loud, which isn't something I normally mention, but specifically this mouse has some loud sounding clicks, but yeah, pretty nice. And there's variance in sound between mouse 1 and mouse 2, but not feel, so not a huge deal. I did have issues with not the actual like feeling of the clicks, but by default, the debounce time is set to 12 ms. They advertise this as a plug-and-play mouse, but the debounce time is so shit out of the box that if you have any semblance of skill and want a good experience, you're gonna have to download the software. So I did find that annoying, and for the first few days, I didn't even download the software, so I figured I was just on fine settings. But no, out of the box, this mouse comes on 500 hertz polling rate and 12 ms debounce time. Another infuriating aspect is that you can change the polling rate by holding the side buttons together for 3 seconds, and I've accidentally done this a few times. I don't know how, because that seems like a long ass time to accidentally hold a button, but you can see it does change the report rate. But I accidentally changed this mouse to 125 hertz for days without realizing it. I was going insane. I thought it was just the worst wireless implementation ever, but no, I had just accidentally changed the reporting rate. So it's kind of infuriating. I wish there was a way to turn that off so I don't accidentally do it. So I understand not a lot of people are gonna have an issue, but I wish they were just like, fuck it, you have to download our software to change settings, because that feature was just annoying as fuck to me personally. But once I did get these settings on this mouse feeling fine, the wireless performance felt great, and the click latency was really good too. So all around, the click implementation is solid. You just have to change some settings yourself. I have no issues with the click quality. It does make some sound when I grind it with my finger, but in actual games, there's no issues with grinding or like any side-to-side play. So yeah, fine in terms of click quality and really all button quality. The side buttons aren't as bad as anything like Pulsar or the Fnatic Bolt. Now I'll talk about the mouse skates, because I'm looking for a feature to talk about. Surprisingly, out of the box, these are a pretty good mouse skates. They say they're 0.7 millimeters thick, not the fastest skates, but nothing you really need to replace. These might be the same design as Zowie, like the S series, don't quote me on that. But yeah, you might be able to fit some aftermarket skates on this mouse. But on a variety of surfaces, I don't have a single complaint with these mouse skates. They perform perfectly fine, so yeah, that's solid. Don't know if I mentioned it, but the sensor is a 3370, and there are no issues with the liftoff distance, no perceivable motion delay. But make sure you aren't actually using 125 hertz and giving yourself like 8 ms of delay, because you're an idiot like me. Presuming you're on 1000 hertz, I don't think anybody's gonna have any connectivity issues or issues with the tracking. So all in all, I give the sensor implementation a pass. Just feels like a standard 3370. They do claim the battery life lasts up to 96 hours, but since it comes on 500 hertz, I feel like those claims are a bit bolstered. But in a few weeks of on and off use, the Katana Superlight's still at around 40%. I'm not sure what it came at, but I am impressed with that battery life. But once your mouse does die, you get to make use of the magnetic charging, which is honestly just such a random feature. But it's pretty cool. You see the magnetic charging port at the front of the mouse, and then the magnetic charger. Some people are going to be like, why is it not USB-C? I don't know. I honestly could not tell you. I think it's a pretty cool system. It's just doing something different, and I don't know. I don't have any issues with it. You do have to use an extra USB port. Oh god, the end of the world. Compared to most mice where you just remove the adapter and plug the cable in. But yeah, I'm honestly fine with it. I think it's a nice touch, but nothing that really makes or breaks the mouse. And I think that about covers everything. Oh, not the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel is kind of tight. Not the exact same as the G Pro Superlight. Might be the same encoder, honestly. But yeah, just a passable scroll wheel, not too loud. The middle click is pretty light. And yeah, all around this mouse, I've covered it. It has some good features, has some poor features. I think the most impressive part is the shell feeling and just the weight for the size. But the shape is what kills it for me personally. Like, every aspect is super modern. They've got magnetic charging, but then they have a 20-year-old shape. And that honestly kind of kills it for me. If this mouse was a bit flatter on the sides and thinner in general, I would not have a problem with the size compared to the Superlight. I would just acknowledge that it is a larger option. but it just feels like a wonky large mouse. Let me know if you have the shape, what you think of it. I don't know if I'm in the minority of people who just think this is fucking awkward and out there, but still, I mean, hey, if you have large hands, maybe do a relaxed claw or palm grip, this could be your thing. If you're a boomer and you used the shape in the past, maybe you'll like it as well. But yeah, I'm not going to be giving it the seal of approval. It's nothing that I'm going to be coming back to, but I think Ninjutso has made lots of strides since first entering the scene, and now they have a like solid design philosophy that if they put smaller shells on, they could have some of the lightest wireless mice out there. And I think any new shape will be a step up compared to this, at least for me personally. I cannot stress enough how much I did not like using this shape and how much I felt like it limited me, at least with a claw grip. So yeah, this is just going to be one of those reviews where the mouse has lots of promising features, but just a, shape is king, as they say. No better way to end it than that. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks to Ninjutso for sending out this unit for review, and yeah, peace.